Have you ever wondered why some people seem to carry calm through chaos, like they are anchored to something deeper? Have you ever noticed that the most powerful gifts are not the ones that impress a crowd, but the ones that quietly reduce suffering in everyday life? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are exploring a theme you have probably seen online in many forms: the idea of spiritual gifts and the chosen one. Some people hear that phrase and feel inspired. Some people feel skeptical. Some people feel secretly anxious, wondering if they are behind or if they are missing something. So I want to talk about this in a way that keeps your feet on the ground and your heart open. Two ideas will guide everything. First, real spiritual gifts are less about being special and more about becoming useful. Useful to your own healing and useful to the people around you. Second, whatever language you use, Christian, Buddhist, or simply human, the deepest gifts always circle back to the same core: awakening, wisdom, karma as cause and effect, compassion, practice, and destiny shaped by daily choices. Let me start with a story, because the chosen one idea becomes dangerous when it turns into ego, but it becomes healing when it turns into service. Her name is Naomi. Naomi is not famous. She is not an influencer. She is not trying to be mysterious. She works, studies, helps her family, and tries to keep her mind from falling apart in a world that feels loud and fast. She had a season where she felt completely ordinary in the worst way. Not ordinary as peaceful, ordinary as invisible. She watched other people shine, succeed, gather attention, and she felt like she was standing behind glass. Nobody saw her effort. Nobody saw her pain. Nobody saw the way she was fighting to stay kind when she wanted to shut down. One night, Naomi watched a video about spiritual gifts. The video used language like chosen one, calling, destiny, and gifts that reveal who you really are. Naomi felt a strange mixture of hope and hunger. Hope that her life might have meaning. Hunger to be seen, to finally matter. But then she noticed something honest in herself. Part of her wanted spiritual gifts as proof that she was better than the people who overlooked her. That part was not evil. It was wounded. It wanted compensation for feeling small. That same night, Naomi had a conversation with her uncle David. David is a quiet person. The kind of person who does not speak a lot, but when he speaks it lands. He is grounded in faith, but he is also grounded in life. He does not use spirituality to escape responsibility. He uses it to become more responsible. Naomi asked him, "Do you think some people are chosen?" David looked at her for a long time and said, "Chosen does not mean favored like a celebrity. Chosen means called to grow, called to serve, called to carry light into dark places without becoming arrogant about it." Naomi asked, "What are the gifts then?" David said, "The gifts are not decoration. They are tools. If a tool makes you more humble, more compassionate, more honest, it is a real gift. If it makes you proud, superior, and hungry for attention, it is a trap." That sentence stayed with Naomi for weeks, because it was both comforting and challenging. Now, let us explore the idea of 5 spiritual gifts, but not as trophies, as training, as practice, as the kind of inner development that changes your destiny through cause and effect. The first gift is awareness. Not awareness as a vague word, but awareness as the ability to notice what is happening inside you before it controls you. Most people live like this. Something triggers them and they react automatically. Anger becomes words. Fear becomes avoidance. Shame becomes self-attack. Craving becomes impulsive choices. Then later they regret it, and they tell themselves they have no control, that this is just who they are. Awareness changes that story. Awareness is the moment you notice the tightness in your chest before you speak sharply. Awareness is the moment you notice the urge to lie before you lie. Awareness is the moment you notice the need to be right before you start a fight. Awareness is the moment you notice your loneliness before you numb it. In Buddhist language, this is mindfulness, the beginning of awakening. In Christian language, you might call it spiritual watchfulness or discernment. In everyday language, it is simply waking up to your own inner life. Naomi began practicing this gift without calling it a gift at first. She did one simple thing. Before she answered messages, she took one slow breath and noticed her emotional tone. Was she anxious? Was she irritated? Was she trying to prove something? That tiny pause changed her life more than she expected. Not because it made her perfect, but because it gave her a choice. And this is where karma shows up in a very practical way. Each time you notice and choose wisely, you plant a seed. Seeds grow. Over time, your default changes. Your destiny shifts. Not because the world becomes easy, but because you stop being owned by your first impulse. The second gift is resilience. Resilience is not pretending you are fine. Resilience is the ability to fall and return. The ability to face discomfort without turning it into self-destruction. The ability to keep a soft heart without becoming naive. Many people confuse resilience with hardness. They think being strong means not feeling. But the strongest people often feel deeply. They simply do not let feeling turn into cruelty. They do not let pain become poison that spreads to others. Naomi discovered resilience when life did not cooperate. She applied for opportunities and got rejected. She tried to repair a relationship and the other person stayed cold. She worked hard and still felt behind. The old Naomi would have collapsed into the story. I am cursed. I am forgotten. I will always be behind. But she began training resilience as practice. She stopped asking, why is this happening to me? She started asking, what is the next wise step? Not the whole life, just the next step. That question is a spiritual gift because it keeps you moving with integrity even when you cannot control outcomes. It is aligned with wisdom traditions everywhere. It is also deeply compassionate because it refuses to abandon yourself in the moment you need yourself most. Resilience is built through patience. Patience is not passive. Patience is the ability to stay present without making discomfort into a war. Every time you breathe through a difficult wave without obeying it, you strengthen the muscle of freedom. The third gift is compassion. Compassion is often talked about as if it is just being nice. But real compassion is fierce. Compassion sees suffering clearly and chooses to reduce it. Sometimes that means offering comfort. Sometimes that means speaking truth. Sometimes that means setting boundaries. Sometimes that means walking away from what harms you without hatred. If you want to know whether someone is spiritually maturing, do not look at how poetic their words are. Look at how they treat people when they are tired. Look at how they treat people who cannot benefit them. Look at how they treat themselves when they fail. Naomi used to be harsh with herself. She thought harshness would make her improve. She believed if she did not punish herself, she would become lazy. But harshness made her tense. Tension made her reactive. Reactivity created more problems. So she started practicing compassion inward. When she made a mistake, she did not excuse it. She took responsibility. But she stopped insulting herself. She said, I am learning. I can repair. I can practice again. This inner compassion had an unexpected effect. She became more compassionate outward too. Because when you stop fighting yourself, you have more energy to see others clearly. She noticed her co-workers' stress instead of taking their tone personally. She noticed her friends' hidden sadness instead of assuming they were ignoring her. She began listening better. Not to fix people, but to be present. This is a gift because it changes the social world around you. Compassion is contagious. A compassionate person makes a room safer. And when a room is safer, people soften. This is karma too. Your energy becomes a cause that shapes others' responses, which shapes relationships, which shapes your future. The fourth gift is discernment. Discernment is the ability to tell the difference between what is true and what is loud. Between what is wise and what is tempting. Between what is love and what is attachment. Between what is guidance and what is ego wearing spiritual clothing. In a world full of opinions, discernment is rare. Many people confuse intensity with truth. They confuse confidence with accuracy. They confuse popularity with wisdom. Naomi learned discernment the hard way. She met people who spoke about spirituality in a grand way but treated others with contempt. She met people who talked about destiny but avoided responsibility. She met people who claimed special status but used fear to control others. At first, Naomi was impressed. Then she noticed how she felt around them. Anxious, pressured, like she had to perform. Then she met a different kind of person. Quiet, humble, steady, not flashy. But when Naomi was around them, her nervous system softened. She felt clearer. She felt more kind. She felt more honest. That is discernment. Discernment is not only intellectual. It is also embodied. Wisdom has a tone. It tends to produce clarity, humility, and compassion. Ego has a tone too. It tends to produce superiority, pressure, and division. Discernment is also how you protect your destiny. Because the people and ideas you follow shape what you practice. Then what you practice shapes who you become. The fifth gift is surrender with strength. This is the gift many people misunderstand the most. They think surrender means giving up. But spiritual surrender is not quitting life. It is releasing the illusion that you can control everything. It is letting go of desperate clinging to outcomes so you can act with a steady mind. If you cling, you suffer more. If you release, you see more clearly. When you see more clearly, you choose better. This is the hidden engine of transformation. Naomi practiced surrender in small ways. When she did her best and still did not get the outcome she wanted, she let herself grieve without collapsing. She said, "I did what I could. Now I will take the next step." She stopped turning every disappointment into a personal verdict. She stopped believing that the universe was mocking her. She treated life as uncertain, not hostile. This is a powerful shift, because when you stop interpreting uncertainty as a threat, your nervous system calms. When your nervous system calms, your mind becomes wiser. When your mind becomes wiser, your life becomes more skillful. Again, karma as cause and effect. Now, you might be listening and thinking, these gifts do not sound supernatural. Exactly. The most real spiritual gifts are practical. They reduce suffering. They strengthen love. They make you more honest. They make you more patient. They make you more capable of serving without becoming bitter. They make you more awake. And here is the most important warning about the chosen one idea. If you use chosen language to inflate your ego, you become less chosen for anything good. You become a person who spreads division. You become addicted to being special. That addiction becomes suffering. But if you use chosen language as a reminder that you are responsible for your mind and your actions, then it becomes a calling to practice, a calling to become compassionate, a calling to break harmful cycles rather than repeat them. Naomi eventually came to a simple conclusion that changed her relationship to the entire topic. She stopped asking, "Am I chosen?" She started asking, "Am I choosing wisely? Am I choosing awareness or autopilot? Am I choosing patience or reactivity? Am I choosing compassion or cruelty? Am I choosing truth or performance? Am I choosing practice or excuses?" That shift made her life feel meaningful without needing a fantasy identity. Months later, Naomi had a moment that showed her she had changed. A friend called her late at night, upset and chaotic. The old Naomi would have panicked and tried to fix everything. Or she would have felt overwhelmed and avoided the call. This time, she took one breath and grounded. She listened. She spoke gently. She did not offer dramatic advice. She offered presence. She helped her friend calm down and take the next step. After the call, Naomi sat quietly and realized something. This is what spiritual gifts look like. Not fireworks, not applause, just the ability to reduce suffering in real time. That is inner peace. That is compassion. That is awakened practice. Now I want to share a reflection that might land in your life immediately. If you want to know whether you are developing spiritually, do not chase signs. Do not chase labels. Watch your reaction. When someone disagrees with you, do you become cruel or curious? When you fail, do you punish yourself or learn? When you feel fear, do you cling or breathe? When you feel lonely, do you numb or reach out honestly? When you have power, do you use it to serve or to dominate? These are the real tests. And do not underestimate small practice. One slow exhale before a difficult conversation. One pause before replying. One honest apology. One boundary set without hatred. One act of kindness that nobody sees. These are seeds. Seeds become destiny. Thank you for being here with me. If you have ever experienced what you would call a spiritual gift, maybe a moment of deep intuition, a moment of unexpected peace, a moment where compassion surprised you, share your story in the comments. And if you are in a season where you feel ordinary and unseen, share that too, because you are not alone, and quiet seasons are often where the deepest gifts are trained. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, and keep coming back. We will keep walking this path of awakening. Wisdom, karma, compassion, practice, and destiny together. I will see you in the next one. This is the last article in this batch.